One of my favorite podcasts here on YouTube is the Daily Wrap Up Crew. And they recently had Dr. Umar Johnson come through to their studio there in New York City. And they talked about a conglomerate of things regarding the black community, what's going on globally with the black community. But one of the things that they focused on in one part of the interview is, can you be pro-black and date a white woman? That's what I want to go ahead and focus on today. So let's get into the reaction.
Had a lot of conversations with people about this topic, a lot of heated debates. People want to know, can you be pro-black and date outside your race?
Absolutely not.
And I got my good brother right here, who's an advocate, and he says that you can be pro-black and date outside.
Impossible. You cannot. Marriage is a business. When you get married, you commit your mind, your body, your heart, your soul, and your pocketbook. Your savings, your estate, your wealth. You commit that to that person you're married to. See, when you marry, you don't marry an individual, you marry into a race. You marry into a community. So I didn't marry a Jewish woman, I married into Jewish society. I didn't marry an Asian woman, I married into an Asian family. There's no way you can claim to love black people, especially as a black man, knowing that only 1 out of every 4 black women will get married in her lifetime. We have the lowest female marriage rate in the country, 25%. That means 75% of black women will never ever know what it feels like to be proposed to. And if you care about the black community, you got to care about saving the black family, because the family is the essential institution of a community. And the only way you can save a family is to build a family. You can only build a family with a black woman. Absolutely not. You cannot talk black and sleep white.
So that is a point of contention amongst people in the Pan-African community. Obviously, we have people such as Cornel West. We talk about people like Harry Belafonte, Sidney Poitier. And again, I have personal friends who active in the Pan-African world, and they have non-black wives. This is not uncommon here in Africa. But I am with the same agreement as Dr. Umar Johnson. Let's not get it twisted. And I am a little bit more, let's say, understanding what he's talking about. It's 1 out of 4 every black woman will never get proposed to by a man. That's also a lot of conditioning going on in society, but it's also a lot of women not understanding what some of these brothers want, and some of these brothers not understanding how to step up to the plate. So I see that issue also as these people not adding value to each other. And when you have trauma in a certain community, you tend to want to get away from it. That's a whole nother conversation. But at his basis points, he is right. When you move to another community and you're marrying somebody, you're marrying into another race. The Indian community here in East Africa, you go to Tanzania, you go to Kenya, you go to Uganda, it's very clear that you cannot be pro them with somebody else with a wife of another community. The Chinese community operates in the same vein, right? If you are going to be accepted in this community, you're going to have certain rules. You're going to be doing certain things in the culture. In the black community, you can do whatever the hell you want and be accepted. But at his basis points, at the basic level, undergirded in this argument, I believe he's absolutely correct.
And why would the original man want a member of the race that enslaved and dehumanized you to carry your seed? Why would I, after the rape and the lynching and the slavery and the Willie Lynch and the Jim Crow and the police brutality and the economic apartheid and the gentrification and the AIDS and the Ebola, the West Nile, the COVID, the genetics, the eugenics, why would I want to take my original seed, God's seed, and put it in a cave-dwelling organism? Why would I want to do that?
Yeah, we need to hear you, brother.
The mic is yours, Ace.
Yeah. I want to incubate my son, my daughter, in the womb of the people who have destroyed my people in this world.
Now, let me say first, when I made this argument, I wasn't necessarily talking about white women, obviously. Now, I mean, there's other races out there. But,
and they hate you just as much.
But what I'm saying, all right, so you said yourself earlier that there are black people among us that are not for us.
True.
So, with that being said, there are people of other races that are more for us than there are our people.
Describe for us, please.
When you go to protest for black rights and police brutality and stuff, and you see other races that out there and there are black people that would never be caught out there. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Y'all see his face? I believe that's Ace, right? Me and Ace had the same debate on the Daily Rapper Crew on a live stream. He was talking and saying, I like the brother Ace, right? And I think that he's dealing with a young lady that is not black, but she's hip to black culture. And again, I've seen that situation going on. Again, I don't disrespect nobody's mate, but you can see like Dr. Umar, the way he's looking at this young brother, he's about to give him that work. So let's just continue.
So because an
I'm just go ahead.
or a Caucasian showed up for a George Floyd march,
Right.
that means they give a shit about black people.
I'm just saying.
Let me ask you this. According to the Pew Research, they said 1 in 5 protesters during the George Floyd protest was black.
Okay.
4 out of 5 were non-black.
Right.
Listen to that. This is important. Because when they talk about protests, and even I hear people in the black community say that, about certain sisters protesting for black men. Listen, these numbers are important, right? Whites are protesting for black people. Asians are protesting for black people because they care. Listen to this. George Floyd protests, 4 out of 5 were non-black.
At least 3 out of the 4 were white. So the George Floyd protests were mostly white people. If white people care that much about black
ain't
folks,
no changes.
why didn't that woman who got Emmett Till murdered, why was she never arrested?
Still.
If white people care that much about black
After the
life,
confession.
why all these police that's going around killing black folks are not being held accountable? If white people care that much about black life, why don't we see it in the political and economic realities of black people?
These are great points. You don't. And black people always like to feel that other people like them. When you start seeing the Black Lives Matter protests going on in the Netherlands, you saw it in London. Okay, all these white people coming out, even in these other countries and not United States. How are the blacks living in those countries? In the Netherlands, we're thinking, we're getting all this support. If we're getting support, just ask the black people from those respective countries how they're living every day, and then they'll tell you they're at the bottom of the barrel for a reason. Because those same white people don't want you dealing with their daughters. They don't want you dealing with their sons. They don't want you living by them. It's clear as day. That's the case. Always been the case. So when you go home, you go over to where you live, and they go over to where they live.
You know why they showed up to the George Floyd march?
Why?
To dissipate the power of black people and to redirect the focus of those marches.
Absolutely.
White people outnumber black people 5-1. So if you let them in, they automatically take control by virtue of their numbers.
Boom! This is great. This is why Malcolm X says, when you're dealing with black issues, you never let white people support what you do, for the most part. I know Africans, they don't have a problem with that. Some African Americans have a problem with that. But once they start funding what you do, start supporting what you do, by sheer will of numbers and how they think, they're going to control the narrative and spin it from what it was initially supposed to do to something else. They're going to divert the actual goal. Let's go.
And redirect it. And so Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic Party turned the George Floyd march into a damn celebration for Joe Biden. Joe Biden votes in the Democratic Party.
In the LGBTQ, trans, all of that we were seeing too. Doc, we're gonna be real.
We got nothing out the march whatsoever because we let it get diluted.
Right.
You have to keep it all black. The minute you let white people in, because you can't control how many join. There's more of them than us here.
Yes.
You can't control how many join. So the minute you let them in, they now have the power to remake this into whatever they want. And because most Negroes who participated in the George Floyd March made it multicultural, every time we get on the microphone, this is not just about black people. I'm so tired of hearing that shit.
It is, though.
Everywhere
it is
you go,
about us.
it is about us.
Yes.
But if you notice, when it's about us, it can't be about us.
Yeah.
Can't just
See,
about it.
when the Mexicans shut down the highways in California, nobody tried to multiculturalize that. You understand me?
You're not welcome here.
Absolutely. This is our thing.
Yeah.
When the European Jews, this is our thing.
Yeah.
But soon when black people do it, we got to multiculturalize to do what? Kill the focus of it.
Holding hands
Nobody
with
wants
everybody.
black people to be
Shit
free, and they damn sure don't want you to be equal, and they definitely don't want you to have more than they do.
Hello.
So let me help my good brother out, right? So some of the talking
Come
points
on,
when I
Eli.
do have these conversations with other.
That's my boy Eli, man. This young brother is the truth. All right, I believe he is really the. No offense to the other brothers, right? But I think that Eli is really one of the hearts and souls of that podcast. He's the engine that keeps it going. So shout out to Eli, doing a great job.
Other black men or black women is that, procreating is part of being pro-black, right? Procreating with another black person. So some people will say...
Before we get into that,
okay,
what would be your description of a pro-black person?
I hate the term pro-black
Okay.
because I never heard of a pro-Mexican or pro-Jew. This is how messed up we are. Not you for saying pro-black, but for you to have to define a black person as pro-black. Do you know what that means?
right.
That automatically means by contraindication that most black people are anti-black.
And very many are.
That's a fact.
Do you feel me? If I walk in and you say he's pro-black, because this is what people say when they see me. It'll be 1,000 blacks. He's pro-black. Do you know what you're saying about everybody else in here? They're fucking coons. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're the only people, we're the people who are for us are the minority.
That's true.
Think about that.
That's true.
But I think
You have to describe people who care about black people as pro-black.
Yep.
No other group has to do that.
I don't-
It
I don't-
speaks
I don't
to
think
how
that-
much most of us are anti-ourselves.
I don't necessarily think that means you're anti-black, because usually when I think of the word pro, usually is the most extreme of something, right? This is why when you have pro-life and everything else, when you put pro in front of something, that means the most extreme. I think people confuse being proud to be black with being pro-black. I think people are proud to be black.
I don't see how one could exist without the other.
What?
If I'm proud to be black, I'm pro-black. I'm for my people.
Yeah, but some people might say, like, when you look up the definition, it might say only supporting black-owned businesses or only to support
they go to
everything all
definition.
black. So when you say pro is the most extreme, I'm only buying from black people, I'm only reproducing, I'm only loving black people.
It would be impossible
I was
to
about to
only
say.
buy from black people because we don't manufacture and sell everything that somebody needs in order to survive. For me, pro-black means always putting the best interests of my people first.
There you go.
In any situation or any decision that I have to make.
Perfect. I mean, I have my criticisms of Dr. Umar, but 99.4%, especially, except for some of the things he talks about, the relationship situation with black men. And usually with them, I'm somewhat moderate. He's on point. He's the greatest intellectual mind, I think, on these issues, at least speaking on it. I'm not talking about him personally. Nobody can really attack it in the way that he does, which is why I'm a huge Dr. Umar Johnson fan, despite me being critical of what he does, in other things. But the brother is on point. He's a mastermind. He really educated these brothers there today. And I wish, if he's supposed to be in Uganda, hey guys, put it out there. If Dr. Umar Johnson wants to come on to the Ken Garner Repap podcast, listen, we would love to have him. But guys, subscribe, hit the bell. What do you guys think of this style of video on this channel? Do you want to see me do more? Let me know. We're out.